It's time to bring in EJ. EJ, are you here? Again, EJ is an amazing celebrity brand talent manager, and he has his own firm called Crowd Management, who I love. I've seen how he's built it. It's been based on, I mean, which speaks to a testament to who he is, but it's based on teamwork, collaboration, strategy. He's one of the smartest people I know. Every time we have a conversation, I'm always like, yo, I just got so much from this. And so I've been trying to have him on for a minute. Disclaimer, this is not usually his thing, but I'm his friend and he agreed, especially when we said it was for the people. I kept framing it like the people need to hear from you, EJ. The people need to hear from you. So I'm glad to have that he finally acquiesced and allowed me to bring him into the room. So EJ, I'm bringing you into the room. You ready? Come, come. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry y'all gotta see me like this. Ooh. All right. EJ.
Hey.
Hey, let me
I'm
see
shrinking
it.
down in here. Let me get in the frame.
What?
Hold on, let me see if I can lower my chair. That would
Yeah,
probably
when two
be
people
better.
get
There we
up
go.
here, it kind of like shrinks us both. So that's why I
Yeah.
kind of sit back.
You know, I was trying to be ready. You have a cool mug. I was trying to be cool like you. My friend gave me this, and I was like, this will bring me some good vibes
See,
for
here's
this
the secret to the mug,
live
though. On the
interaction.
live secret, the secret to the mug, I got this printed reverse so you guys could see it the way
I
it's supposed
know.
to
See,
read.
mine says hustle. My
Yeah, I
friend
see it
Lauren
says
gave me
hustle, but
this.
yeah,
And, you know, I try
yeah.
to use it every day because
I learned the
this is
I
a way of
learned the
life, you
secret.
know, for all of us. So I'll just flip it this way. You can just see black.
Okay. No, I like hustle. I like hustle, but you know what I don't like? I don't like hustling backwards. So actually, I don't want to see it.
All right, all right.
Okay, EJ, what's up? I'm glad
What's
you
up? What's up?
came. Okay, so tell the people. I mean, I won't, inundate them with our pleasantries because they're here to hear from you
Yeah.
mostly. So tell the people who you are and what you do. Let's start there.
All right. Well, thank you for the disclaimer, by the way, that this is not usually my position. I'm usually prepping other people to do this and sitting behind the camera, praying and, you know, giving my good vibes. So thanks for having me.
Of
My
course.
name is EJ, as you know, and I am the founder and
Okay.
CEO of Crowd Management. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. You
Okay.
froze for a second, so but you're good now.
I'll
Go
try
ahead.
to stay still, even though I like to talk with my hands and all
Yes,
that
you
Italian
move.
stuff.
You move. Uh-oh.
So
Damn,
I,
it keeps freezing a little bit. I don't know if it's freezing over there, but it's freezing for me a little bit. Carry on. We'll see how it goes. Carry on.
okay.
Okay.
So I'm the founder of Crowd Management. We are a brand and talent management company in the beauty and lifestyle industries. And we work with a curated roster of diverse talent that purposely and thoughtfully complements one another. And we are what I call a collaboration culture, where I and my team encourage all of our artists and the brands that we represent, from human beings as talent to box brands and television segments, to collaborate with one another. If that's by way of creating together, that's one collaboration method, but also just like you said, like you and I always are soundboarding things to each other. Like,
Of
hey, I have
course.
this idea. I think it's cool. Do you think it's
Yes.
cool? Will other people understand it? I
Collaboration.
think that,
Yes.
you know, that's part of the process that a lot of people do not ever get to see or consider. And it's part of the man hours and the thoughtfulness that goes behind what people in our industries do. And so I created a company, honestly, by accident at first. And it turned into something that I passionately loved so much that, you know, here we are 11 and a half years later, and we're still doing
Wow.
this.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, so tell me about the accidentally real quick. Tell me the backstory of crowd
Yeah.
management.
Okay. So my background is in management and marketing in my first degree. And then I studied on a master's level at RISD for interior design. I've always been torn between being a creative and being on the business side of any corporate structure.
Yeah.
And my first job, I was, I think, 14 or 15, was as a production assistant at a marketing company that my uncle owned. Shout out to Joe Gugliotti. And he and his team taught me a lot about the intricacies and the nuances of marketing and branding that go into what the public or a consumer sees. And I was so fascinated with it, and I wanted to learn more about it. And as I grew older and realized that it was such a driving force in any industry, I decided to study it. Fast forward, I moved to New York. I always knew I wanted to move to New York.
And you're
And
from?
I'm from Connecticut. My whole family is from central Connecticut. And New York's always been part of my life. As a kid, we would go there several times a month. Dinner there was like normal for us. And I'd always say, oh, one day I'm going to live here. I'm going to do something here. And,
You did a
like a
lot
lot of us
here.
that end up in this industry, we start off as super fans, recording music videos on VHS, if any of you even know what that is that are watching, and studying them, watching them over and over again. And, I'm obsessed with Janet, so shout out to her.
Janet.
So, but fast forward, I moved to New York. I was accepting a brand management position with Swatch, the watch company. And true to all of you that graduated around the time I did in 2005, there was a huge fallout that followed our graduations that took away a lot of jobs. And the department I moved to New York for was eliminated about a month and a half after I got there. And I found myself with a degree and a half working at Planet Hollywood
I
and
had a
thinking
Planet
to myself,
Hollywood run too after I
you
had a
did?
degree. I promise I did.
Oh my goodness. I wish that there were cameras and social media then, because the way I left there was certainly something
A
that
dramatic
should have been
fashion.
filmed. um, but we'll have that conversation privately.
Okay.
But for real, I found myself in a position where I was like, okay, I spent all this money educating myself. My family supported me to educate myself too. And there was a lot of sacrifice that went into that. And I was discouraged. And so I started thinking, how can I meet people? And so I decided to work in nightlife on the promotion side, and then ultimately bartending as well to pay the bills. And I thought, I'll meet a lot of people by doing this, because everybody goes out and it's New York. It's the city that never sleeps. So I'm going to network my ass off. And, I did that for a while. I worked with this company, Junebug, for a while. We were promoting New Year's Eve parties and major like nightlife events that back in the day people would pay to get into these things. Now nightlife has changed since then. It's tougher to make money at the door, and all the things that promoters used to
Yes.
depend on. And that led to me working with my first real client, consistent client, Zeke Thomas, who I still work with now. And I managed him. He was a DJ. And we
Yes.
met at a party, and
We
he
love
told me,
Zeke
he's like,
too.
"Oh, I'm a DJ," and I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, where do you spin? Because I work in nightlife. I've never seen you spin." And he's like, "Actually, it's really hard for me to get gigs." And I'm like, "Oh, like maybe you suck or something, which he doesn't." So I
He
went to
does
see him
not.
spin just as a friend, like myself and a few of us went to check him out, and he was so dope. And I'm like, "How the heck can you not get booked? This is insane. Let me help you get booked." And that led to a year of just booking him. And then that turned into management. And we ultimately launched his label in partnership with Warner Brothers and Tommy Boy, who gave me the training wheels and that aha moment to be like, okay, I do this. So now
I
what?
do this.
Like I go in a room and people are listening to what I have to say, and yeah, I think I need to know how to make money off of this going forward. So that led to other clients ultimately calling me, seeing the success that Zeke was having. And at first it was a little chaotic because people were calling me that I wasn't necessarily interested in. And not because I didn't think that they were amazing. I think a lot of people that reach out to me are amazing, but just aren't a fit for what I do. Because within branding and within management, there's so many facets that go into what you do for an artist that you really need to click with them in a way that you can have longevity. And so I
Yes.
took on a few clients that I knew I shouldn't, but needed to figure it out anyway.
Hmm.
And then that led to a partnership between myself, Zeke, and my friend Stacy, who I used to work for at Junebug,
Hmm.
first job. And we started combining talent management with events. and using events as a experiential marketing piece when that became like a wave of coolness.
Yes.
Which now it's like that's just required, right?
Yeah, that's what we do.
But then it was like a little bit revolutionary having such a branded event and creating a curated experience for people to walk. And ultimately just having a good time and experiencing a brand. And so we started to do that. And Stacy was a rock star at events. Like she knew every door person, every security guard. She knew it in and out. And we started to realize that even though we loved each other, the three of us weren't actually best as business partners. We actually needed three separate businesses. And so we separated ways. I kept the name Crowd Management, which I'll explain if you are interested.
Of course I'm interested.
Because because it was connecting to me and what I was going to continue doing. And two, because, I started the company, we took on the partners after that. And I requested that of them. Like I'm kind of married to this name. People are starting to know it. We've gotten published for most of the things that are related to what I'll be doing. And they both were super supportive. Zeke went and launched Guerrilla Records, which went on to launch a few independent artists and ultimately runs all of his music and licensing. Mm-hmm. And Stacy went on to launch her own thing. And we're all friends to this day. And obviously I manage Zeke, so I'm still involved with what he's doing. And that's where crowd management came from. And then the name was a morph of like taking a crowd of people and managing the experience that they have in a way that tells a story that you want people to walk away with. So with events, obviously, crowds of people coming in and out and managing that brand in a way that you're accomplishing XYZ goal was where the name came from. And for me,
I love that. I never knew that. I mean, I felt a little of that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it, though, hearing it.
Thanks. And I never really talk about that, so that brings a smile to my face.
That.
Thanks. But we, like I said, we started to get some momentum, and I didn't want to give that up because, in my opinion, and I still feel this way, and I felt it then, is that the ability to maintain consistency and reliability and transparency in this business is everything. If you don't have that, in my experience, then people flee from you, and it's very hard to get their trust or involvement in your business to come back to you. And so as someone who didn't have a huge agency or name or millions of dollars behind me, I've always taken that extremely seriously. And also it was a source of fear at first, but ultimately it's paid off for me because I have been able to help other artists realize how to turn that fear of that failure and turn it into how to fail forward and keep learning, but in an honest way.
Fail forward, yes, major key.
Yeah, totally. And I just adopted that a few years ago. Up till not that long ago, I was still like, oh my God, what if I don't have clients next year? What if I don't have, this or that? I don't think that we ever lose that if you're passionate about what you do. Mm-hmm. But it's gotten more comfortable kind of learning the same reliable message and lesson over and over again.
Yes.
So yeah, that's where crowd management came from.
I love that. I love that story. There's so many places we can go. But okay, so tell me, what is, we all talk about branding. I think right now, we're all thinking about what's next, which is a part of the conversation, which is like, even what you're thinking, what's next for you and your clients. But just in general, give us like what your idea of what branding is to you. And what are the key elements of that when you think about how you built your brand and how you built the brands of your creatives?
Okay. Well, the first thing I'll say too is that a lot of people, even new clients that I've worked with, thinking back to the beginning of our relationship, the number one question always is, what is a brand manager? Because I don't call myself a talent manager. Talent management is something that is part of what we do, and it's very important. It's a big part of what we do.
Yes.
But brand management to me, and hopefully the understanding that other people have as well, is that we're actually in charge of organizing and overseeing the entire brand that you are working with. And a lot of times, especially when you're working with talent, and I heard your friend that was on earlier asking this question, so I'll tap
Yes.
it a little bit before later. But a lot of brands that you work with, like I do, have other brands that they represent or create along the way. So overseeing the like promotion and sales and overall image of all of
All of
that,
that.
and making sure that we're thoughtful about how that reflects the given talent or brand that you are managing is what I do. And so people like agents and publicists and all the key components that go into a business, they work through us. And although it's a collaboration, our job as managers is to be the person that manages all those moving parts, to be in sync with each other. And so it gets very chaotic sometimes. And but it's fun because it's never the same. Every
Yes.
client is different, has different needs. And so you have to make sure that you are authentic to each person you're working with and each brand that you're working with. And that people walk away with the message that that given brand or artist is trying to convey.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, so how do you do all of that though, too? I mean, I think it speaks to your team. I kind of know I'm trying to pitch the questions in the way, but
Go ahead.
I see your team dynamic. I've seen you guys are like family, like from your like administrative team or your creative team in the office, as well as like your team of creatives. So I just kind of want you to speak to the idea of collaboration and teamwork and how that's played a part in the success of you and your clients.
Well, like you said, thank you for calling us a family, because that was always like a wish and a hope. But I think that the longer I work with someone, the more they feel that, because they see that through affiliation with each other on a smaller roster like we have, which is curated in a way that they don't see each other as competition, because they're not. Each of the people we work with are unique and individual in a way where their actual end goal, which is part of the way I decide if I can work with someone or not, their end goals are all vastly different. Even if they're both, let's say, hairstylists or both makeup artists, their ultimate dream or their ultimate goal is different from each other. And so it allows like a safe space for them to share ideas with each other and to collaborate with one another and create projects together. And so to answer your question, my job and my team's job, which shout out to Lee Palazzo, who I think is tuned in right now watching, who's like a huge part of what I do, my assistant manager who runs our day-to-day, and we can talk about that later. We are, our job is to make sure that all those components I mentioned between advertising, PR, agents, and there's different agents. Some agents represent just a unique niche like television or just radio or modeling or voice work, etc. So you're now coordinating the schedules and the workflow for all of those things that are all trying to get time from your talent or from your brand. And so you have to consistently reevaluate what's the priority, how can we get back to people swiftly but in a way that's quality, and how do we spread your time among all of these things that are pulling you in all these different directions. And so our job is quite literally to like manage all that communication, but also figure out ways to empower the talent to have the time and the space to do what they do. Because if they had to do all of that and be part of every single step of the way, they would never be able to efficiently and fully be themselves in any given situation. So we're creating, we've created a service that alleviates all that pressure so that our artists can focus and provide the highest level of their artistry.
Yes, and thrive. And thrive.
Yes.
I love that.
Toward the goal.
Toward the goal. Okay. So what are key elements? Like, I mean, tell me this, when you think about that, when I think about that, how do people find that? Like, because I think it's, I mean, you have everybody in here, big family, photo shoot, like family. Yes, sir. We love him. Like, so it's really like best manager ever, like 20 times in the conversation. How do people find you, and how do you find those people? Like, how do you do that?
So I think it's different for everybody. So this is just answering you from my perspective,
Okay, which is what I
because
want.
there's ways to do it. But for me, I approach the relationship of manager to artist or manager to brand. And I say brand separately from artist because an artist, yes, they are a brand and they have their own thing that lives within that system. But
Hmm.
a brand outside of a human being, like a box brand, like Morel, I see you're in here, so shout out to Lavanya. Lavanya is its own brand. He created a skincare brand that just recently launched right before this pandemic. So please go check that out, lavanya.com,
Yes, we got he.
Lavanya.com.
Yes, he
Um,
gave us a discount code. I hope it still works.
yeah, of course it does. But he launched that brand, right? And we have, with Morel, birthed that with him. We've managed every aspect from the idea to the negotiation to bringing it to life, and now in the promotion and PR and advertising stages of that. So we're doing that with each artist, and each artist, like Morel, is involved in multiple brands. So when you look at our roster, some people, and they'll ask me, like, how do you survive off of such a small roster? Like, aren't you worried? What if someone leaves or does this or that? I'm like, each one of those people represents so many things. And the way that we decide on how to work together, or that we end up working together, is 100% through referral. And not just referral to me, people saying to me, you should work with this person. You should get to know that person. And so we take that seriously. I have created a systematic way that we get to know people in a way that removes the contractual obligations of management in the beginning, so that we can just simply get to know, are we a fit? Are we going to click? Are we going to want to talk to each other 25 times a day like we're going to when we're working together? And from there, it kind of just naturally happens. And even people that don't necessarily move on beyond that point, we still stay connected.
Yeah.
I try to remember people that are really awesome at certain things, that we can say, hey, this isn't a fit for anyone with us as it naturally came to us originally, but I think it's great for you. Can I introduce you to this person?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I think, where the family aspect comes into it, because they all do that for each other. Some people will receive an inquiry and be like, hey, I got asked to do this job, but it's not a fit for me. I think that, Sarah would be great for this, or send this to Trevor. I think that this reminded me of him, or send this to Morel, or, whatever the case may be. And so
Yes.
it's really, it's like a consistent family of people feeding each other with ideas and opportunities, which is really cool to watch. Some
Oh,
days I'm like, this is cool.
it's it's beautiful. Oh my God. I love that you built that.
Yeah.
So, and you've done that by looking at certain things and qualities in people. So, as you know, a brand manager, what are you looking for when you're bringing on new talent? Like, what are some of the key aspects of how that person presents themselves, or what they come to the table with? Because we talk about that a lot. You'll send me DMs of people who are just like, what can you do for me? It's like, what? Okay. But but yeah, so
Which I
I'll
just
let
sent you a few days ago. So I love that you brought that up. And I don't do that in a way to be malicious. You know
No,
me.
I
Like,
know, I
I
know. We
want
were
to
talking
answer
about
this
it in this
question.
way. We were talking about it
I
like,
want
this
to
is what
answer
we
this
kind of want to talk
question
about.
in two ways. One, in the realist way, which is what do I look for? I look for talent, right? Like, if someone wants to work with you and be represented in a way that you're going to now be responsible to not only sell them, that's the obvious stuff. Like, yes, I heard earlier someone saying making money off of, and I hate that word, because that phrase. So please think about that a little differently, because yes, agents have gained a reputation for that, because agents live in a very specific lane, right? So although they might help you connect with people outside that lane here and there, they have to focus on that lane only and how to make money in that lane, or else they don't have a job. Whereas management is working in a way that's jumping from lane to lane. So we have more opportunities to not only make money, but also to help you package an idea that may never get off the ground without other elements being added to that or other introductions you need. Because everybody who does not want to have their own product line, like who doesn't want that? I want that.
I want one.
Nobody doesn't want that, you know? But a lot of people don't know where to even start with that. They have zero manufacturing experience. They think you just walk in, here's my idea, I've written it all out, this is what I want it to look like. Can it be ready in a month? And it's not, that's not possible, but a lot of people don't. And it's not to poke fun at that. It's that it's our job to now, okay, you want to operate in this lane. Let's break this down. Let's realistically set some expectations, some goals, and then get to work once we're on a full understanding of what's ahead of us. Because some people learn what the process looks like and they're like, oh, never mind, I don't want to do that.
The process is a lot.
Right? Yeah, process. There's a process to all the processes. It's like, what? But I come from a manufacturing background, actually, a different industry, but my family is in manufacturing. So that's helped us as a company. And even actually Lee, who works with me, comes from a manufacturing background. Again, also outside this industry, but it's helped us afford the ability to work with companies in a way where they're actually impressed with our understanding of how intricate the start to finish is. And it's helped our clients to be able to launch products.
Absolutely. And part of that success, we can all attribute, we know there's power in social media. You know what I'm saying? And you guys have an amazing social media presence as well as like consistency across the board, like you, the brand, as well as your clients. Like, what are some of the key elements to building a successful what are your social media like do's and don'ts? You know?
Okay, well, the first thing I would say to answer that is, and thank you for complimenting all of us. I really think that my artists, like I look at my artist's feed, and this is one of the things that I would answer your previous question with. When I look at their feed, I am so proud that they want to work with me because I look at their feed and I'm impressed with their taste, their consistency, the amount of work that they do, meaning that it's not just one or two projects here and there. They're consistently working. Even if I told them you're not booked for the rest of the year, everyone I work with would still do what they're doing for free and go do it out of passion. And so that's another thing that you get to know from someone by taking the time to get to know them rather than saying, okay, I see that you have, these 5 things I could monetize right now. Okay, yes, I'll work with you. Because a lot of times someone will come to you and they'll not have much at all to monetize, but the potential that they have or the ability to function as something to be sold or a service to be sold is there. They just don't know how to get into that space. So by getting to know talent, you can recognize those abilities and those potentials and be like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. I do that now. And that's what my job is. So if I had it my way, if I had the money and finances it takes to develop talent, I would work with so much developing talent. I think there are so many talented, amazing people out there.
Yes.
And it is so hard I see you talk about that. We will. It's so hard to break through the noise because for real, we'll be on set sometimes and we'll see an assistant that we've never seen before and they'll be working with the team in a new way. And we're like, oh man, I wish that I had the money and time to just focus on her.
Yes, take her and mold her.
Bring you to all these things that we have coming up. And we do that, right? We have people that have gone from being an assistant, shout out to Gabby Lopez, who is a phenomenal hairstylist that Caesar had as an assistant. And she grew up under him and took the opportunity to learn from him and learn the hard lessons and stay there long enough beyond the point where she thought she knew it all and realized I'm actually learning all the little exceptional things that you can't really learn in a school or in a conversation. You have to be on set when some catastrophic thing happens so that you see how that person with all the experience handles that. That is the stuff that you have to hang around for to actually become an independent artist. And so there's a lot of people that are like, I've been assisting for 5 years, I'm ready. And I'm like, but who have you been assisting? And where have you been working? And what else are you doing? Are you a part-time artist or are you a full-time artist?
Full-time
Because if
artist.
you're a part-time artist, you can't work here because I'm not part-time. I have full-time bills and I have full-time teams.
There's EJ. There he is.
You know, so, you know, that part is complicated. That's so sweet. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments. But, you know, it's a complicated answer. I'm sorry, I'm going off on like a few things here. So let me organize my answer, right?
Okay.
So, I'm going back to the question where you said, like, how do you decide? Because I feel like that's the best place to start.
Yes.
So there's things, right? You need to find people that are passionate and that have the talent. You need to find people that are already figured out how to do this full time. Whether that means some days I'm in a salon, some days I'm on set, some days I'm working for free to create my portfolio. But you're not telling me, right? You're not telling me I also deliver packages for Amazon, which, by the way, is a very important job, okay? But I don't want to manage an artist that I have to now say no to an opportunity that we work hard to create that opportunity for you, but you can't take it because your day job that pays your electric bill is more important, which I agree. And that phase, I was in that phase for 6-7 years before I was like, I think I do this full time now. I always had to have a side hustle, you know? And that side hustle weird space, I hate to tell you all this, but in my experience and in the artists I see and work with, that doesn't count as part of the years that you've actually been doing this. You've actually been learning. That's still school in my eyes. Like, you're still learning to prepare to be.
That's still school until you can do it full time. Until you can full time make it based off.
Until you can do it full time, because that tough part where you look at people, like, I'll talk about someone that I don't work with. Okay, June Ambrose, shout out. She is amazing, right? She's super unique. She's super talented. I guarantee you that she went through years of time where it was like, hello, somebody see me, somebody see me. And I only know this by way of other people I know that have worked with her or sets she's been on with us, and we've crossed paths, and I see that and I'm like, I feel okay with being the person that still requires that of people before I work with them, because I did it. The people I aspire to be like her and other artists that we both work with and the executives we work with, they've all went through that. And I feel like that part of that school, those years of like kissing ass, taking shit, learning the little lessons that you learn on the way, getting beat up a little bit, having to work a side job because you have to start over. Ooh. Like that's all part of.
That's part of it. That's part of the process. Respect the process.
It is part of that process, because it guarantees that your future self will never doubt that you know what you're doing. And that's the level that people who work at the highest level need from us. When we're in the room, if we don't know how to handle a situation or we don't know how to perform in a way that makes them look good, now we all don't look good, right? So if you can't carry your weight for whatever your piece of the team is, and you fail someone else, which failing is part of what we do, but if you don't know how to pick up those pieces and turn it into something that works in their favor, then you're not ready for that position. And that is what takes all of us, I think, many years to accomplish that level of expertise. Like many people say, 10,000 hours, right? I think in this industry, 10,000 hours is not enough. Like, people expect a lot from us on set, in meetings, in travel. They expect us to work 20-hour days and get up and do another one. That, like, all these things that go into the beautification of what the public sees. You have to love what you do in order to put up with that kind of challenge. And so, I think that part of knowing talent is knowing that you've seen them operate in those really weird circumstances and see how they respond. And that's where you really get confident about whether or not you're a fit.
Got you. Nikki Higgins, right? It's Nikki, right?
Yeah.
Is it Nikki? Nikki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nikki.
No, she said we have more respect for one another because we all know we've all had to work hard for it. Major key.
Yeah, Nikki.
Yeah.
Love you.
I love that.
it's really cool when you put a bunch of creatives, not only my people that, you know, I call them my people because they are in my heart, but also the people that work with us, like when we've collaborated with you or anyone else that we don't manage. When you're in a room with people that really belong in that room, meaning they've done the work that we just talked about, it's almost like it's like this perfect storm. Like you just know everything is going to be fine. No matter what happens right
Yeah.
now, it's all going
Yeah.
to be fine.
It,
And that's the comfort
yeah,
that
it feels
our clients are
spiritual. It
looking
feels
for.
like a spiritual experience.
Yeah,
Like when you're able to
absolutely.
operate like that. I love those set moments. Okay, EJ, you know, okay, so we already knew that this was probably gonna have to be a part one, part two, part three because we can get going. And EJ has gems,
How long
and
have
it's
we been
so we only
here?
have 15. We only have 15 minutes left, but I want to take some questions too, or get to things that are major keys that you want to talk about too. You know what I'm saying? So we have
Hmm.
15 minutes. I'm gonna look at questions while you what?
Okay.
What
I'll
else
think
is
about
there?
something.
You know.
Okay, so one other, I want to go back to what I said about social media for a second.
Okay.
We always tell our clients to concentrate on making that feed of yours, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. It should be a reliable space for a certain type of content. So my rule of thumb is picking 3 to 5 categories of what your content will look like. Less is more, but 3 to 5 categories. And within those categories, defining that stuff and those categories before you are emotionally connected to any type of content or experience in your life is key, because when that picture you're like, oh, I really want to post this, but it's really not on brand, you'll know that if you've determined those 3 to 5 categories ahead of time. For example, myself, if you check out my personal feed, EJ Crowd Management, I stick between work, family and friends, spiritual inspiration, and interior design. And when I say work, it's either executive production work that I've done or celebrating the work that my clients or our clients collectively are doing together. Anything outside of that, you're not
Yes.
going to find on my social media. And we all make mistakes. I've certainly posted something that I then realized, oh my God, you're not following your own rule, and quickly deleted it, or thought about it later and reframed the caption. Um, but we're all
Mm.
human and we make mistakes and we have to be okay with that. So I would just say define those categories for yourself. Make sure you stick to them and treat your presentation to the world like it's an editorial outlet, and take it seriously, because that's the place that people in our visual artist business are going to look. They're going to look at your visuals. So you can't be that person that treats it like your personal diary, unless that's your brand, of course. If that's your brand, then go ahead and do
Is there,
that.
and what about the consistency and frequency? Is there too much posting? Is there, you know what I'm saying?
Again,
Like,
my opinion, I'm not the judge and jury on that, but
of course.
I think it depends on your level of engagement. If you're the kind of person that never responds back to people, posting too much might become a turnoff because people don't get anything back other than receiving from you. But if you are answering comments and answering your DMs and keeping up with your fans or people that want to work with you or collaborate with you, I think that you can post as much as you want. It's just kind of you feel it. You know the momentum. People will tell you whether they like something or not. And for me, I go through waves, like my personal page. My professional page, we're taking a pause right now. It's COVID. We are not actively working. We could post tons of throwbacks, right? But I've decided alongside my team, like, we're going to take a pause for a second. The world is taking a pause. We will
Mm.
share the work, of course, and we encourage our clients to keep sharing what they're doing and have done. But right now, that doesn't work for us. It doesn't work for what the brand stands for. We're collectively taking a pause. We're collectively not making money. And it's a
Mm.
scary place to be in right now. But I
Yeah.
don't think there's too much. And I don't think there's too little in terms of a standard rule. I think it depends on your engagement.
Boom. Okay. Let's go to a question. What's the process of you all hiring wardrobe stylists? What do you expect before applying? We kind of answered that a little bit.
In a quick way, we don't hire artists. We collaborate with artists on projects to create an end goal creative, which is that process is just about, pitching us an idea that you have a plan for. I get a lot of people that write to me and say, hey, can you make me successful? Can you get me such and such client, or this client or that client? Or, hey, I need clients. I'm really talented, but I need clients. The answer to that is usually no. And the reason is because it's tone deaf to what the actual process is. If you're coming to someone to manage you, there has to be something to manage. There has to be financials attached to that. This is a business.
Yes.
We do work with some development talent, and the way that we work with development talent for someone like that would ask a question in the format that was just asked is that we'll say, you know what? Here's a stylist we work with. If you'd like to assist them and get to know our process a little bit, we'll see if we're a fit. And if you like our process, if you do, we'll take the next step to help develop you into the next thing. And we've done that successfully many times. But again, we're a curated roster. We're not an agency looking to have 300 talents on our roster.
How many do you have on your roster now, by the way?
15.
15.
And everyone is in their own lane, as I said. But they do help each other in the fact that, yeah, we have more than one hairstylist, but none of them have the same exact end goal, and they're not working on the same other projects that you may not be seeing yet right now. Sorry, my chair's slipping out from under me.
That kind of goes to another question that I see. With a robust roster of creators with similar disciplines, how do you decide who to pitch for any particular project?
Great question. I see Lee saying quality over quantity. Amen. That is definitely something that we apply to what we do, what we deliver, and who we work with. But to answer your question, with a robust roster, that's the challenge with growing. But we've grown really slowly over time, so I don't feel the conflict that you're asking about. I think that happens more in an agency level. But what I've seen is that great agents who do have talent that do similar things, they still take the time, like I said, to get to know the talent in a way where when an opportunity comes to you, you really know if it's a fit for someone. And with us, a lot of times people are asking for someone specific because we're working with established talent that, again, has a business to manage. So their clients are reaching out. The other way that people get a lot of work with us, beyond obviously we're pitching for new clients for them all the time, but another way that they get it through their own talents is if they're on set. Let's say that, CJ, like if you're working on a music video and there's a feature, now you're seeing multiple teams come and work around each other. Yeah, and that's your opportunity to grow your impact on a project and on an audience of people that don't normally get to see behind the scenes of you working. You either show up for that opportunity and make it happen, or you don't. I can't do that for you. What I can do is make sure you're prepared, coach you on that, tell you these are the people you should talk to that we kind of know already, and that's how we collaborate and do what we do. But I'm not, going on set with every single client all the time, because that's unprofessional for the manager of someone else who it's not about right now to show up on a set for someone else's project. And so we do what we can to connect dots. And when you have those opportunities, even if you're uncomfortable, you need to take them and you need to deliver. So again, to answer your question about robust rosters and who to pitch, you just have to know the talent well enough to know who to pitch for what project, because, excuse me, you're not, in my opinion, your job is not to create a competitive culture among the people that you're working with. We have enough competition out there. So I say to you, if you're going to be represented by someone, make sure that you see in your representation someone that is going to see you as a top priority and demonstrates that in the time that you're taking to get to know each other. And that's why I always say, like, we get to know our talent before working with them. Jill, who I know is in here, we've been talking about working with each other for a year and a half, and we started managing her very recently, and we took the time to get to know each other, do some projects together. Hey girl, love you. And we have a relationship that's beyond the hey, I call you when I need you kind of thing. Jill and I both know that we can call each other at any time, and that's the relationship I try to develop with everyone I work with, whether they work for me or I work for them.
Yes, work for me or I work for them. There's a question about content production. Who
Hmm.
manages? Do you guys manage together? Artists and management, content production.
I think what they mean is that if the artist is in charge of creating content, who manages creating the content, the artist or management? And the answer to that is we manage the logistics and day to day. We have a Lee, my assistant manager, actually runs and oversees all day to days. And so we have a system for that. He works with all the assistants report to him. Like we have a way to make sure that our artists are supported with what they need to do the job. We would do the same thing if our client was creating a project. And many times I end up on set as an executive producer alongside them to make sure that that stuff's happening because there's only so much you can do if you're not there in that situation. So I hope that answered it.
Yes, yes. Okay, we have 5 minutes. You want to do it either or you want what do you want to do? This is your
Whatever you want to do. Whatever you
okay.
want to do. I feel like I cannot stop talking when I talk to you. I hope nobody's
No, it's
bored.
good. No, I'm just mad because I mean there's so much more and we really should talk about a part two because I think there are a lot of I mean there's still a lot of questions in here. I just feel like I
Okay.
don't want you to get cut off in the midst of them. But tell me uh what is a quote that you live by? Let's start there. What's a quote that you live by?
It's a word, and it's right
Okay.
here. It's Avanti, and this is something. The way I live by it is that I spent a lot of time and still do with my grandparents growing up, and the first thing they would always ask me when we would see each other, whether it was days or hours since we've seen each other, they would say, you know, how are you doing? And my grandfather would listen and advise, and he would say, okay, avanti, which means forward for Italian. From in Italian, it means forward. And so he always says that still to this day. He's 97, and he'll listen to the problem, and then he just says, go forward. And that's something that I live by because there's a lot of times where artists and management and anyone wants to give up at what they're doing, and it still happens to this very day. Like I have hard days too, everyone does. And if you move forward, even if it's just a little bit, you'll be okay.
Yes, move forward. I love that. That's a good. Wait, I want to mention this. Trevor says the value of management to me as a creator has changed the game for me. That's major. So Trevor, real
Thank you,
quick.
Trevor.
So, that's a new client, correct?
Yes, within the last 6 months, yes.
Okay, got you. And so, it makes me think of because I know he's big on TikTok. What do you think about TikTok and all the new emerging platforms, or do you see any others? But what are the opportunities there?
Okay, I'm
Yep.
just going to comment on TikTok real quick
Okay.
that I am learning TikTok through Trevor. He is a master of TikTok. TikTok has deemed him as a official ambassador to the brand. They promote him, he promotes them. It's a beautiful relationship. It totally fits into our belief in collaboration. I think what Trevor means is that he has grown quickly on his own from his own talents, which we love his talents and we love what he stands for. And if you read his personal story, you will love it too. But he he's taught me as well because that's a platform we don't use a lot. And it's also not something that is easily understood by brands right now, which is what I love about it. It's a huge opportunity for people to make an impact and to create content that is more fun and less serious. And I like that, even though you can, of course, curate whatever you want there. I
Yeah.
like that it pulls the personality of talent out. And I think it's a humongous opportunity for brands and talent alike to collaborate in a way that's not all about conversion, which I would love to talk about, I guess, in part two.
We're gonna do a part two because we only have 2 minutes. Trevor says there's a lot of huge opportunity on TikTok, especially for creators. Yeah, I want to talk more about that. So Trevor, maybe we have you. I'll talk to your manager. EJ,
We will definitely make that
EJ,
happen.
EJ, I appreciate you, man, so much. I'm gonna call you later so we can figure out when we're actually doing part two because we have to do a part. I feel like there's so much
Okay.
more that we want to get out, so let's do it. Okay.
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 All right. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Of course.
I'm
Thank
proud
you.
of everything that you're doing.
Oh,
Keep it
thank you
up.
so much. Thank you. I love you. All right. I'll call you
Love
soon.
you. Bye.
All right. Bye. Um, yes, Trevor says talk to EJ. I will talk to EJ. Thank you, EJ, so much. He dropped gems. I hope you guys are writing that down. We're definitely going to do a part two. There's so much more to that. As you can see, he's a wealth of knowledge and information and insight, especially for us creatives. So I want to make sure I have him back. And I hope you guys got some from that. I hope I got to some of your questions. Again, me and him could kind of talk forever. So I hope you got something out of that. I know you did. And yeah, so tomorrow, who do I have? AJ Crimson. I have AJ Crimson tomorrow, amazing makeup artist and dear friend of mine, and he's going to come in and we're going to have a good feel good Friday. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday, which would mean also that this is our 30th show tomorrow. This is our 29th show. So, you know, I've been here Monday through Friday for the last 6 weeks. I'm congratulating myself. So it's a party tomorrow. It's our 30th, and it's AJ. It's gonna be good, and I hope that was great for you guys. Thank you again, EJ. Thank you for Daryl for checking in. I appreciate you guys so much. All right, so I'm clocking out. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.